Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Robert Phoenix, and I am here broadcasting to you live in Fredericksburg. And it is, gotta get a lot of like hissy background noise today, man. Man, I've never noticed that before. Because I always mute the show, and when I was listening today, and there's just a ton of like white noise in the background. I apologize for that. Uh, Man, I gotta deal with that somehow. Not quite sure what that is. Other people have complained about it in the past. Is white noise racist, by the way? I'm just curious. I'm curious. I don't know. I don't know if it's racist or not. It has certainly has racial connotations, doesn't it? White noise. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those phrases that the apparatchik, the Politburo, will allow us to continue to have as part of our lexicon. What's happening, everybody? It is 8:30. We're going to be going up to the top of the hour today. I apologize for the late delay or the delay. Delays are delays. Short delay, late delay. I guess a delay is a delay. So I apologize for the delay this morning. It was just, again, working with these new dynamics in terms of how to get this stream up and running from other parts of the worldwide headquarters of 15 Minutes of Flame and the Robert Phoenix Media Empire. So let's see who's in the chat room. We got Joe. Hello, Joe. And we have 10 Dragon. For some reason, I cannot get to the chat over on the 15-minute side. I apologize. There's Jenny, there's Shari, there's Phoebe, the Wonder Cats. Hey, there's Steve and Chris, and good old Cheeky Monkey. Ani, hello, how are you? It's good to see you all. Isla, what's happening? What's happening, morning crew? Glad you could be here today. So, just a little RobertPhoenix.com 15 Minutes of Flame business. Over on the 15 Minutes of Flame site, I'm now selling It's Okay to Be a White Cat t-shirts. I've made the leap into apparel. That's right. Hey, what's going on? The J-Man just jumped in. So if you're interested in It's Okay to Be a White Cat t-shirt, they're over there on the 15 Minutes of Flame site. There is a page at the top that says get a cat tee, get cat tee, get a catty, cat and tea. Right, there's that. And it's also on the sidebar. And I have to charge $2 extra for women's sizes because they're more money, and I'm still taking a bit of a loss on that. But I wanted to keep them affordable. So there's a drop-down menu, which is, you can't really see it, unfortunately, but it's there, and you can find it, and you can get a size, you can order it. And once I get 25 t-shirts, I have to get 25. Once I get 25 t-shirts, they go directly to you. Right, so just put in your name and address and all that stuff, and so shipping, tax, it's all included in the price. And if you're interested in the chat, it's the same shirt that we debuted here a few weeks ago. So over on the 15 Minutes of Flame site, there it is. So what's happening? Let's get into a little astrology here.
Downtown San Antonio.
That's not what we want. We're going to come back to that later. There's the chart of the moment. We got Cancer ascending. And we've now moved out of the brutal T-square from the last Grand Cross from the last couple of days, the mutable Grand Cross. And it does feel like sun in the 12th house to me today, this morning. I feel that way. I was up late last night. I was working on my websites. I'm getting reinvested in my websites now. It's a juggling act, this thing that I do. Time, energy, resources. It's all a juggling act. But we're still in that T-square with the sun squaring off against Neptune. Man, it is a foggy morning. That's true. With Neptune on the midheaven, feels that way. I'm still shaking the cobwebs today. And then we have, of course, our lovely little stellium over here in Cancer, which means, at least here in this part of the universe, it's good for self-care. The moon has moved down into Libra, 4th house moon. Again, this is all based on Central Standard Time. And the moon is challenged, right? It's challenged. It's like, this is really interesting because from an astrological perspective, we were in a Libra moon last night. when the basketball game was taking place. And Kevin Durant happens to be a Libra. And here we have the Libra moon. It was not conjunct his sun, but nonetheless, we have a Libra moon. And then the whole thing as well, should he have taken better care of himself? Should he have not played? I mean, all these, in case you missed it, Kevin Durant decided he was going to play last night. He hasn't played in over a month, and he looks like he tore his Achilles, which for a basketball player is incredibly serious. Now, there's a lot of Sturm und Drang and hand-wringing about all of this. Kevin Durant has the whole thing with athletes blows my mind. Okay, first of all, Kevin Durant has made close to $70 million on his NBA contract. That's just on his NBA contract. He's got a ton of investments due to the fact that Joe Lacob, who's the owner of the Golden State Warriors, is a hedge fund manager connected to all these Silicon Valley companies. So he's invested Kevin Durant in a number of these companies. And Kevin has made, as they say in the streets, a shit ton of money. He's done a lot of advertisements. He's got shoe deals. Kevin Durant is okay financially. It's not like somebody who's some schlub in the NFL who's, busting his nut and all of a sudden has a serious injury and he's got to go work for, I don't know, the city or the state or Hertz Rent-A-Car or something like that. So I'm not shedding tears over that fact, but at the same time, people are human and there are human emotions involved. It's a high-stakes game, professional sports. And last night, there was a lot on the table. Kevin Durant decided to play, and this injury has affected the arc of his career and his life, which is, again, would I take that risk for $70 million? Yeah, probably. I'd say, here's the scissors, snap my Achilles. I'll take that. Just I got to make sure the $70 million's in my bank first. So Kevin Durant will be fine. But the square was interesting because of dealing with cancer, self-care. A lot of these questions are being asked now. Did Kevin Durant come back too soon? Did the Warriors force him to come back too soon? Do players have the right to have their own doctors? We're in that balancing act with the Moon and Libra squaring off against the Cancerian energy. It's unfortunate, but the dialogue has begun. And I think it's, bringing it back to us, the whole idea of self-care is really important. It's very important, especially if you're involved in helping other people. If you don't take care of yourself and you help other people, you're just waiting to become a casualty on the side of the road, right? Burnout, because that'll happen. And even if you're not taking care of other people, you got to take care of yourself. This is really important. Really, really important. A lot of people lose touch with that, lose sight of that. And with the type of environment and the world that we're living in now, it's kind of a big deal because we got to stay healthy and we have to stay on point. It's very important, very, very important. So I want to get into some other stuff today. Well, it's really interesting. I used to do like the time tunnel stuff. I want to start doing some of that again. Today's a really interesting day for the time tunnel material. Because obviously we're in the month of Gemini, and Gemini represents movement and travel and to some extent racing, right? Cars, movement, travel. It's Mercury, spirit of Mercurius. Well, today is actually the day, 1895, Paris to Bordeaux, back to Paris, sometimes called the first automobile race in history, or the first motor race took place. That's today, on July. It's a very Gemini kind of event. So, just giving you a little bit of historical context for the month of Gemini. There's a lot more that went on today as well. But that was a pretty interesting astrological occurrence. I was thinking about that song, Elton John, "Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Words." For some reason it popped. I think it might have been a commercial or something. popped into my head. I was thinking about it. It's like Elton John's and Aries. And Aries always have a difficult time of saying they're sorry. Even though that's not the context of the song, I get it. So there's a lot going on with the free speech stuff. Sundar Pichai has basically said it's open season now. Google owns YouTube, and Google uses certain algorithms to throttle content when you search for them. They're always adjusting those algorithms. So now you just get basically a bucket of slop when you get search results back. It's not like the old days where they actually would bring you something meaningful. The first 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, are stuff you have to wade through. So I tend to use DuckDuckGo, even though I think DuckDuckGo is kind of compromised too. Whatever. It is what it is. But Google now wants to apply their algorithm, philosophy, and technology over to YouTube. And I'm just going to read this. This is it's not a website I generally like to go to. It's Ben Shapiro's website. But the information here, this is on dailywire.com. And this is from an Axios interview that, Axios tends to be left progressive outlet. In an interview with Axios published Sunday but filmed before YouTube's unveiling of its new policy last week, Google CEO Sundar Pichai signaled YouTube's crackdown and its plans to expand the ban to include borderline content. So there's a very good chance that my content might actually qualify as being borderline. Look, we aren't quite where we want to be, Pichai told Axios on HBO. While YouTube is improving on eliminating content it deems problematic, he suggested they are still working toward even more extensive content controlling measures. Google said Pichai ranks content based on quality. They plan to apply that same approach to YouTube, and so we're bringing that same notion and approach to YouTube so they can re-rank higher quality stuff better and really prevent borderline content. So what does that mean though? Quality content is a subjective determination. It's a subjective value. So then Pichai says, he offers, this is his definition, what he means by borderline content. Content which doesn't quite exactly violate policies which need to be removed, but which can still cause harm. So he said in language echoing YouTube's statement to Crowder days later, the issue is a hard computer science problem, said Pichai, but an even harder societal problem, because we need better frameworks around what is hate speech, what's not. How do we, as a company, make the decisions at scale and get it right without making mistakes? There is no such thing as hate speech. There's no such thing as hate. It is a synthetic categorization that was essentially kludged together and then foisted upon the American people by the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL. This is who crafted the hate speech laws. There is no such thing as hate speech. We have the right to, and the freedom. I like that, freedom and right. We got the right. We got the right to express ourselves. We have the right and the freedom to express ourselves. It's there. It's in that piece of paper. It's in that piece of paper. But apparently the hang-up, the hook for the whole thing, is that YouTube and other online outlets are platforms. And being that they're platforms, they are given platform protection. So they can pretty much do what they want. There's a section called Section 230, which apparently defines a platform versus a publisher. Now, when Google, or YouTube for this matter, begins to censor and hold back material, whether it's your comments in the chat room or whether it's content in general, they are theoretically performing the role of a publisher. And once a publisher begins to make publishing-based decisions, then they are in the process of violating the First Amendment. So they're treading a really fine line between being a platform and a publisher. So this Section 230 needs to be revisited because it is operating to some extent outside the framework of our constitutionally validated and agreed upon, at least for now, rights. But again, we're dealing with the goblin of hate speech, which doesn't exist. Michael Jones was on the show about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and he says there's no such thing as hate speech. He's right, there's no such thing as it's speech. It's speech. Once you define hate speech, just like once you define tolerance, it's a slippery slope because everybody says, oh, we have to practice tolerance. Well, tolerance means that there's intolerance. Well, I'll tolerate you up to a point. But after that, I'm not going to tolerate you anymore. Because this is intolerant. I don't like what you're saying. What you're saying makes too much sense. I'm not going to tolerate it. You're out of here. Because the whole idea around this stuff is that the left winds up losing arguments. Because their arguments are based on either ideology or identity politics. And those are not really great foundations to have an ideological debate, or a debate in general. Take the ideology out of it. They wind up losing. And so what they basically says, we're going to take our ball, we're going to go home. It's the equivalent of somebody playing a sport and getting their ass kicked, saying, I'm leaving. You know, like when you're a kid, you play pickup baseball games or basketball games. And you're in a game, and the next thing you know, you're getting your butt kicked, and you're like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. One time I was playing in Oakland. This guy was just kicking my ass, one-on-one. I couldn't believe it. It's like, he's a good player, but I was a decent player, and I didn't just take my ball. I wanted to keep playing to try to beat the guy. I mean, it's like, come on, let's play another game. Shit, how can this be happening? Right? I had a few of those moments, not many, but that was one of them. But I don't want to take my ball home and leave. I want to go. No, but that's what's happening now. It's like, okay, we're losing the debate, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our ball, we're going to take our privilege away, and you can't be here. Get out of our clubhouse. That's okay. There are other platforms. They're not as popular, but there are other platforms. But it just has far-reaching effects. There's a legitimization. There's a sense of social permission that this is the way to go. This is how things are going to be done moving forward. And that's not really the case, nor should it be. So anyway, that's the update now. We're still cooking on the YouTube side of things, and they're just getting started. Once they fine-tune their algorithms, and once they deem that whatever is being published, whatever is being streamed is going to be lower quality, well, then they're just going to summarily remove it. Nothing coming out of the government, by the way. Nothing. These tech companies are so freaking powerful. I was talking with a fellow yesterday who signed up for a reading, client, very interesting person, lives in Boulder. I might even have him on the show. He's an energy medicine biohacker, physician, really interesting cat. So I think I might have him on the show. And we're setting up an appointment to do a session, and he lives in Boulder. And he told me that Google is putting offices in Boulder. They're basically locking down the blue cities. Google's in Austin now. So they've got Boulder locked down, right? And what they did is they went in and they bought a ton of real estate. Google went in and just started buying houses in Boulder. Well, number one, because they want to sell them to their people. Number two, the houses that they don't sell, they're going to sell for a profit. They're going to flip those houses. Google has gotten into the real estate business. And so they're basically going in and taking all this money, huge amounts of money that they have, and they're buying up towns. They're buying up Boulder. Think about that for a minute. Think about the implications of that. Think about what that money and power does, and how it affects politicians, and how it affects public policy. The playing field is not equal. The playing field is not level. That's why we have this thing called the Constitution, to somewhat level the playing field. But now it's taking a beating. And the beating that it's taking is that slabs of mammon are just being thrown against it. It's getting weathered, tarred and weathered and leathered. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left because I'm going to do kind of a hard stop today because you people deserve that. You deserve a professional show as much as I can make it. Let me check in with the chat room to see what's going on with y'all. Let's see, we have no such thing as hate speech. No, there isn't. There is no such thing as hate speech. It's a canard. I rank hate speech up there with participation trophies. Yep. There's Tim. Hey, Tim. Nice to see you in here. Let's see, there's Luann. Hi, Luann. And there's Edgardo. We've got 58 people watching. Right on. That's good. Well, some of you may have heard about this little incident that happened in San Antonio yesterday. Let me play this for you. All of a sudden, 300 Congolese just show up at a bus station in San Antonio. Check this out. This will blow your mind.
Downtown San Antonio's bus station just got a little busier as hundreds of migrants from the Congo and Angola arrive in the Alamo City.
We didn't get a heads up.
Dr. Colleen Bridger, the interim assistant city manager, says the Congolese migrants started coming in on Tuesday and said they traveled with a group of about 350 migrants through Ecuador to the southern border.
When we called Border Patrol, they said, yeah, probably another 200 to 300 from the Congo and from Angola will be coming to San Antonio.
That includes Masenji, a Congolese migrant who didn't want his face on camera but told me via Google Translate he came to America for security reasons and said, quote, "My family is staying in my country, but with the help of the USA, I can get him back." But this language barrier is why the city is in desperate need of French-speaking volunteers to help get many of these individuals to their final destination.
If you speak primarily French, that would be really helpful.
Wednesday alone, the Migrant Center saw a total of 450 people, Spanish and French speaking, during the day and housed 375 of them at Travis Park Church at night. The city opened up the Frank Garrett Center to house the Congolese migrants for the weekend, but after that, they're not sure where they'll put them, especially since they don't know how long some of them will be here.
The plan was 350 of them would travel from San Antonio to Portland. When we reached out to Portland, Maine, they said, please don't send us any more. We're already stretched way beyond our capacity. So we're working with them now to identify other cities throughout the United States where they can go and begin their asylum seeking process.
Jaleesa Rosari, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Well, there you go. So we have some issues here in San Antonio. You're probably going to see me sit there and stare at you for a while because that's what was happening while you were watching the video. I was sitting there. You might be staring at me for about a minute or so. But anyway, welcome to the madness that is America. You know, nobody knows how they got there. Well, I take that back. I think some people have actually been arrested. Some comments in the chat room are completely valid. Ani, who knows a lot about this stuff, says that the Congolese, the Angolans, were part of the communization of Africa through Castro. It was kind of a big deal when they had that war going on in Angola. A lot of ex-CIA guys were in that war, by the way. Anyway, so they are basically born and bred to be communists, which is great for the new system, right? But man, it's intense. It's very intense. They just dropped off, 350 of these people, and we saw them walking through the water. We knew they were coming, and they just put them on a bus and dropped them in downtown San Antonio. And all of a sudden, the social services have to kick in. It's a bunch of horse shit. If I were the government, you know what I would do? I would put them right back on a plane and send them back to their respective countries. Say, sorry, we've got a process here. But because Trump signed the budget, which had all that amnesty stuff in there for immigration, there's nothing they can do. See those kids? See the kids there? That's a problem. That's an issue. Because with the kids there, they get a free pass. Anyway, the woman seemed quite surprised and a little, how should we say this, a little stressed. But they tried to send them off to Portland, Maine because, well, apparently there's a burgeoning population of the same people getting dropped off in Portland, Maine, and they said, no, you can't send them here. We're bursting at the seams. We can't take you anywhere. I mean, what the hell is going on here? We know what's going on here. We know these people are being weaponized. This population is weaponization. And, and to talk about it in those terms puts you on the racist borderline. I don't give a shit. I can just see it for what it is. And it's a strain on the systems. And it's not just it's not a quote unquote white thing. If you're an American, I don't care what class, I don't care what color you are. It's a strain on the system. It's a strain on your services. If you're black or Hispanic, it's a strain. And these people didn't do anything except maybe they're the victims of globalization, but that doesn't mean they get a free pass. Instead of making their countries better, they're going to make their countries shitholes and have political strife so they can ship them elsewhere. And then the same people that are doing that get to plunder their resources even more freely than before. It's a total scam. It's a total scam, and they're winning both ways. And this has just happened. Now, San Antonio just got their progressive mayor, Ron Nirenberg, reelected, so he's just, he's in it. Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to give you something really funny today, but we're running out of time. A little bit of humor. There's a story about a guy who had back pain, and he decided to inject his own semen into his spine. But I'll save that for tomorrow. I'll give you the details on that. That's what they call a tease here in the entertainment industry. Thanks for showing up today. Remember, the world is something that's an ever-increasing surreal theater. And self-care, which is where we started the show, is vitally important to get through it. Self-care and building your faith like a muscle. I'm Robert Phoenix. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. Have yourself a very good 11th of June. I'll see you tomorrow.